Shh. Good morning and welcome everyone. Today is November 24th, 2020. Some housekeeping matters before we begin our hearing today. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. All registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you mute all of your personal devices, including the YouTube stream, when you're not speaking, to prevent transmission of background noise and minimize disruption to the meeting. Please unmute your computer microphones before speaking. Please ensure to mute the YouTube streaming while you are speaking. The hearing will take at a slower pace. Each item will be stated and then a moment will be given to allow everyone time to find their place. Please write down the WebEx meeting ID, access code, and attendee ID from your WebEx meeting invitation and keep it nearby for quick reference. If you experience lag or audio issues, disconnect and call into the hearing and enter this information. For the benefit of the listeners, I am going to provide you, which is also available on your invitations, the WebEx phone number, which is 416-915-6530. The WebEx event number is 141-597-7787. Please call into the hearing with the phone number that you have registered with so that staff can recognize your number and unmute you when your item comes up. Before we begin our hearing, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto, Scarborough District is now called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for minor variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to create new lots. I will now go through the hearing procedure. To ensure a fair and timely hearing, I will vet the agenda to determine which applications can be dealt with immediately and which applications require a more in-depth review. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first, will make a presentation to the Committee of Adjustment. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if it's substantially revised today to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to the notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals, either in support or opposition to the application, will be invited to speak. please ensure to include your remarks or concerns that you may have. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. If there are several speakers sharing the same view, please select a spokesperson to present the group's opinion. We certainly want to hear your views. However, covering the same points will not advance your cause. Please be advised that all participants at the hearing today will be given a chance to speak before the committee moves on to the applicant for a rebuttal or a response to the deputant's concerns. The chair will advise if there are any questions for the deputants. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. Please note that unless committee members have any questions, the participants will not get a chance to rebut the applicant's response. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. May I please ask, are there any declarations of interest of the panel or staff today at the hearing?
Through you, Madam Chair, I have a conflict with item number 24, 853 to 875 Milner Avenue. The agent is affiliated with my firm. Thank you.
Thank you, Member M. Staff, we have noted the conflict. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Are there any other conflicts? I see none. Let's move on. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any requests for deferrals for the hearing today?
Through the chair, we have 4 requests for deferral. The first one is item 1, 79 Westcroft Drive. It's a request for a deferral sine die by the applicant to allow additional time to revise their application submission. The second deferral is item 4, 142 Audrey Avenue. It's a request for deferral by the applicant to the December 15th C of A hearing to allow time to satisfy transportation services issues. The third deferral is item 12, 22 Flora Drive. This is a request for deferral because the sign was not posted by the applicant in accordance with the Planning Act. No new notice is required and will be rescheduled to the December 15th hearing, and new notices will be issued. Then the fourth deferral request is item 13, 41 Cliffcrest Drive. It's at the request of the applicant, and it's to address zoning non-compliance issues identified by Toronto Buildings in the revised zoning notice.
Thank you, Colin. We will deal with these referral requests first before we move on to the vetting of the agenda. So the first request for deferral is for item number 1, which is 79 Westcroft Drive. And Karen, you'll have to help me here. We have Gabriela Gigoriou as the agent online. Gabriela, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, we have a request for deferral as advised by Mr. Ramdal. Any concerns with the request? If there are none, may I please have a motion? Member M.
Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend deferral of item number 1.
May I have a seconder?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'll second that motion to defer.
Gary seconds it. All in favor of this motion? Motion carries. Item number 1 for 79 Westcroft Drive has been deferred sine die. Thank you. Thank you, Gabriela. We now move to our second request for deferral, which is item number 4. Item number 4 is 142 Audrey Avenue. We have the agent, Marilyn. Marilyn, are you with us?
Through the chair, neither of these speakers have signed in this morning.
Okay, thank you very much. So including the opposition who was the media. Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, we have a request for deferral as advised by Colin. Any concerns with the request for deferral? See none. If there are none, may I please have a motion? Member M.
Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend deferral of item 4, sine die.
Seconder, please. Mohammed.
Madam Chair, I will move the motion. I will second the motion for deferral of item number 4.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Application number 4 for 142 Audrey Avenue has been deferred sine die. Our next request for deferral is item number 12. For item 12, we have, the address is 22 Flora Drive. We have the owner here, Henry, are you with us?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and we also had listed Tomaz Goral as the agent.
Through the chair, the agent has not signed in this morning.
That's okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, we have a request for deferral before us. Any concerns with the request for deferral? None? If there are none, may I please have a motion?
Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend deferral of item 12, signed I.
Seconder, please.
Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
All right. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Application, item number 12 for 22 Flora Drive has been deferred, sine die. We now move to item number 13. Item 13 has a request for deferral. This is 41 Cliffcrest Drive. And we have Victor Gidberg. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm sorry. Item 13. Sorry, item 13 is 41 Cliffcrest Drive, and we have Sean Totten as the agent. Sean's with us?
I am here, yes.
Okay, thank you. We also had Kathy Quinn registered as the neighbor to the rear.
Through the chair, she has not signed in this morning.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, we are dealing with item 13, request for deferral. Any concerns with the request for deferral? If there are none, may I please have a motion? Member Said.
Madam Chair, I move the motion for deferral of item number 13, 41 Cliffcrest Drive.
Thank you. We have a seconder, Member M.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion carries. Item number 13, 41 Cliffcrest Drive has been deferred, sine die.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that brings us to the end of the request for deferral. There are no further requests, so we deferred 4 items. Now we will vet the agenda. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda and ask if anyone other than the agent or the applicant is present in interest and wishes to address the committee. If there are people in interest, the matter will be held until all non-contested applications have been cleared from the agenda. If there is no person present in interest of the application, the agent or the applicant will proceed with their presentation if required by the committee. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. Okay, so starting with the agenda. Anything? Okay, thank you. So item number 1 was deferred. We now go to item number 2. Item number 2 is 1448 Kingston Road. And this is an application for a minor variance to repurpose and reuse the unit of an existing plaza for a new daycare facility. Before us are 2 variances. We have with us the agent, Gary Erickson. You with us, Gary?
Yes, I'm with you.
Thank you. And we also have the daycare tenant, Jennifer Narain.
Hello.
Hi there. Okay, members of the committee, we have the agent here, we have the daycare tenants here. Gary, are you aware of community planning staff report? Oh,
Yes,
there's,
I've
okay,
read
it's
all the
all,
reports.
okay, thank you very much. There are no recommendations in the report. Members of the committee, any questions for the agent? Member Said.
Gary, are you also aware of the transportation recommendation for getting the off-site parking license?
Yes,
Okay, and you have no questions or concerns with that?
myself, are you talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking.
I have no questions or concerns.
Okay, thank you very much, Gary. If there are no questions for Gary or concerns, may I please have a motion? Member M.
Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the application, item 2, 1448 Kingston Road. I feel that the repurposing of its existing units with no construction and the provision of off-site parking meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act.
And you? propose approval.
And I said that first. I recommend approval, subject to the transportation condition for off-site parking license.
Thank you very much. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application for 1448 Kingston Road has been approved, subject to condition of transportation services. Thank you.
Thank you.
We now move to item number 3. Item number 3 is 35 Natal Avenue. And we have the agent with us.
Hi.
Hi, Robert, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe that we have a staff report from Community Planning recommending refusal. So the committee would like to hold down this item and come back to it in the main body to discuss the application in detail. Okay, so bear with us, Robert.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So item number 3 has been held. Item number 4 was deferred. We move to item number 5. Item number 5 is 500 Old Finch Road. This is an application from Toronto Zoo to expand an exhibit and the height of a future pole for the exhibit enclosure. And we have with us Lena Chow as the agent, the architect on this application. Lena, you with us?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. We also have Ben Noop as the project manager from Toronto Zoo.
Hello.
Good morning, Ben.
Good
Members,
morning.
thank you. Members of the committee, are there any questions for this application?
Through you, Madam Chair, is the applicant aware of the urban forestry conditions? Is there?
So, Lena or Ben, are you aware of conditions of urban
I
forestry?
thought there was a permit for trees.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Okay.
There is a ravine. There's a ravine natural feature protection that we have ongoing discussion, and is very close to getting a permit from them. This is the urban forestry branch, and as well as the TLCA. Both have been we have been coordinating, and I would say that they are very close to agreement. And as a matter of fact, there is an email that came through from TLCA saying that they have no objection for this variance.
Yeah,
That's correct.
That's correct. Yeah.
So we have those comments on file with us. We've reviewed it, and there were no comments or objections to, or no conditions, right?
No, just urban forestry.
Just urban forestry. And
Madam Chair, I don't see there is any observation from the urban forestry.
I don't see any either. There is?
There is.
Through the chair, I did not see any urban forestry conditions. Ravine and natural area protection did not have any objections. And TRCA had no concerns either.
Yeah, there was no objections, but I did see a memo. Okay.
No.
My apologies.
There's no condition from our NFP dated November 20th, has no conditions. And then I'm also looking at urban forestry, and there are no conditions. Okay.
My
So
apologies.
that's okay. There are no conditions here, so if there are no questions, may I have a motion? Member Said.
Madam Chair, I will move the motion for approval of item number 5, and I see there is no condition attached to that.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Application number 5 for 500 Old Finch Road has been approved, and there are no conditions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We now move to item number 6. Item number 6 is 21 Fenwood Heights. And this is an application before us for minor variances. We have 6 variances before us, but I do see there's a list of speakers for this application, so we will hold down this item and come back to it in the main body of the meeting. Thank you. So item 6 for 21 Fenwood Heights has been held. We now move to item number 7. Item 7 is 20 Willowlea Drive. This is an application for a new 2-story single-family detached, and there are 10 variances before us. For this item, we have the agent with us. Christina, are you with us?
Through the chair, Christina has not signed in, but the second agent has.
Okay, thank you. Yasu, are you with us?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm available.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, any questions for Yasu at this time?
Yes, I would like to hold this item down, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So, Yasu, committee members would like to hold down this item and discuss this in detail. So we will hold down this item and come back. Thank you. We now move to item number 8. Item 8 is 23 Fern Meadow Drive. This is an application for minor variance to construct a rear sunroom addition, and we have before us 2 variances. We have with us the agent or the applicant, Faisal Ahmed. Faisal, are you with us? Hi, Faisal, are you with us? Hello? He is with us. I can see him. Any questions for Faisal? Members of the committee, any questions? Okay. Are there any conditions?
No.
There's no conditions from urban forestry as well? We've checked? No. Okay, perfect. If there are no questions for Faisal, may I please have a motion?
Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend approval of item 9 for Meadow Road to construct a rear
This is
sunroom.
item 8 for Fern Meadow, item 8.
Oh, item 8, sorry.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve item number 8 for 23 Fern Meadow Road. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion carries. Item 8 for 23 Fern Meadow Road has been approved, and there are no conditions. We now move to item number 9. Item number 9 is 143 Lakeridge Drive, and this is a minor variance application to permit the construction of a deck in the rear yard. And I believe there's a staff report with a condition. We have with us Dennis Stanford and Ada Stanford as the applicant.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members.
Good morning, Dennis. Thank you for being with us. Members of the committee, sorry, before I proceed, Dennis, are you aware of community planning staff report and the condition that has been recommended?
I have a brief idea, yes.
Okay, so we have a report from community planning dated November 9th, and the condition that has been recommended says, the owner shall provide permanent solid screening along the north side and the south side of the rear deck with a minimum height of 1.8 meters measured from the floor of the deck. Do you have any questions or concerns with the proposed recommendation?
No, but could I state why I wanted the deck in the first place?
Actually, we'll get back to it. If the committee has any question, we will confirm with you. For now, the only question I have is there's a recommendation from community planning. Do you have any questions for that?
No.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions for Dennis, or would you like to hear why the deck is being proposed in the first place? Okay. If there are no questions, may I please have a motion? Member Said.
Madam Chair, I will move the motion for approval of item number 9, subject to the condition of community planning.
Thank you. Seconder, Member M.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Dennis, your application has been approved with the recommended, with the condition as recommended by Community Planning Staff Report. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Through the chair, for the next item, item 10, we have confirmed that there is no speaker in opposition for item 10.
But item 10 was, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
So that member's not in-
He's going to be he's just going to be an observer
Oh, okay,
viewing on YouTube.
okay. But he will not be speaking, okay. Thank you. All right, we now move to item number 10. Item 10 before us is for 1555 Midland Avenue, and there are 4 applications before us. And there are quite a few variances for each of the lots. I would say quite a lot, but I would say a variance for each of the lots. And we have with us Billy Tung as the applicant or the agent. Billy, you with us?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Yes,
Good morning.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Good morning.
We also had Narer in support and Lislot in support. Naren?
Good morning.
Good morning. You're here in support of this application, sir?
I am.
Thank you. And Lislot, are you here in support as well?
Through the chair, the speaker has not signed in this morning.
Okay, thank you, Karen. All right, members of the committee, we're dealing with item 10, and we have a staff report from community planning. I believe that that's only for information.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, go ahead.
I'm waiting for you to.
Oh, okay, all right. Any questions for the applicant? If there are no questions, then please have a motion.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this application. I noticed that there are 4 applications. They're all on a draft plan of subdivision, which with the approval of this will allow that plan of subdivision to be registered. So to be clear, recommend approval for A211, A213, A214, and A215. There are no conditions.
Okay, thank you. So would that be sufficient for the purposes of the motions?
Through the chair, I'd recommend separate motions for each application, tabling separate motions.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so take another stab at it.
I will take another stab at this. Madam Chair, I recommend approval of application A211.
Mhm.
I believe that this application is a minor variance, meets the intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw, and is appropriate for the development of the lands.
I'll second that
All
motion
right,
for
may I
approval.
have a motion on this, please? Oh, so if we have a motion, right, to approval, may I have a seconder, please?
Madam Chair, I'll second the approval of that variance.
Thank you.
AO.
All in favor of this motion? Motion carries. Application A0211 has been approved. We now move to the second application, which is A213/20SC.
Madam Chairman, I recommend approval of application A213. It's a lot on a draft plan of subdivision. It is appropriate for the development of these lands, and I have an opinion that it is an appropriate minor variance.
May I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion carries. Application A0213 has been approved. We now move to the third application, which is application number A0214/20SC. May I have a mover? Member McCall.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of application A214. Again, it is a lot on a draft plan of subdivision that has been reviewed. The variance will allow the plan of subdivision to be registered. It is appropriate, and it is a minor. It is a minor application, in my opinion. I recommend approval.
Thank you. Have a seconder, please.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion carries. Application A0214/20SC has been approved. We now move to the last application, A0215/20SC. Member Macaulay.
Madam Chairman, I put forth a motion to approve application A215/20SC. Again, it's on a draft plan of subdivision. The subdivision, with approval of this, it would be ready for registration. It meets the 4 tests of the variances. I recommend approval.
Right, may I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Application A0215/20SC has been approved. So all 4 applications have been approved and there are no conditions, correct? Thank you. So the applications have been approved, Billy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, we move to the next item, item 11, and item 11 is for 9 Andrew Avenue. And we have before us an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling, and there are 7 variances associated. For this item, we have the agent, Patrick McCall. Patrick, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
I would
Members.
like to, could I ask a time for a deferral?
So you're requesting for a deferral, and may I know the reason for your request?
The wrong plans got sent in.
Yes.
The correct drawings went for PPR, and the list of variances is correct. But when we applied for the Committee of Adjustments, we sent in the previous set of plans. So the variances are correct, but the plans are wrong.
Madam Chair, that was one of my questions. I note that the plans address 40A Winter Avenue, whereas this application is dealing with 9 Andrew Avenue.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, Mr. Ramdell, we have a request for deferral. Members of the committee, any concerns with the request for deferral? If there are none, may I please have a motion?
I recommend, Madam Chair, I recommend deferral to allow the correct plans to be submitted.
Seconder to this motion?
I'll second that motion.
Oh.
Right.
I will give Gary a chance.
All right.
Member Gary seconds the motion.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair.
All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Item 11 for 9 Andrew Avenue has been deferred sine die. Thank you. Okay, item 12 was deferred. Item 13 was deferred. We now move to item 14. Item 14 is 14 Undercliff Drive. It's an application for minor variance to permit construction of a new 2-story detached dwelling, and we have 8 variances before us. And we have with us Mark Jacobs as the agent. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Victor Goodberg.
Victor Gilbert, yeah.
Okay, good morning, Victor. Sorry about that. Okay, members of the committee, we're dealing with item 14. Are there any questions for Victor? If there are none, may I please have a motion? Member Said.
Madam Chair, I will move the motion for approval of item number 14. There are no conditions attached to that.
Thank you. May I have a seconder?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Victor, your application for 14 Undercliff Drive has been approved.
Thank you.
We now move to item number 15. Item number 15 is 95 Pigeon Street, blocks 1, 2, and 3. It's to permit construction of 8 townhouse units, and we have before us variances listed under each block. We have with us Mark Jacobs. Mark, you're with us?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning. And we also have Al Ruggiero as attending for the owner.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Mark, are you aware of, I believe that was
It's an information.
it's an information report. So we have an information report before us from community planning.
Yes, I'm aware of the information report from planning as well as the transportation services report, and I concur with those recommendations.
Thank you very much. Members of the committee, any questions for Mark Jacobs? Seeing none, if there are none, may I please have a motion?
Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend.
Okay, so there are three separate minor variance
Yes, that's
applications.
why I grabbed this one, so I
Okay.
could read the applications. Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend approval of A0227/20SC. I note that the application is subject to site plan control and is currently under review by staff, and that there has been just some technical changes to the plans that need to be reflected in the zoning as a result of the site plan review process.
Okay. So there are
And
various-
there's no conditions. So yeah, I recommend approval of the first application.
and which is A0227/20SC.
Yes.
Okay. May I have a seconder for this motion? Member Macaulay?
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Member Macaulay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion carries. So application A0227/20SC has been approved. There are no conditions. Second application, A0228/20SC.
Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend approval of A0228/20SC for the same reasons as the previous application. It's tied to a site plan application currently under review and is technical in nature. I recommend approval, and there is no conditions.
May I have a seconder to this motion?
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
So Member Macaulay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Application A0228/20SC has been approved and there are no conditions. We now move to the third application, A0229/20SC.
Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend approval of A0229/20SC. Once again, it's tied to a site plan application currently under review, and it seeks to rectify some technical issues that have arisen through that application.
May I have a seconder?
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Member Macaulay seconds it. All in favor of this motion? Motion carries. The application A0229/20SC has been approved and there are no conditions. So Mark Jacobs, all the three applications have been approved and there are no conditions.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We now move to item 16. Item 16 is 137 Euclid Avenue. And we have with us Christina Bamsey.
Through the chair, the first agent has not signed in, but the second agent has.
Thank you. Yasu Somalingam.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, we have an application before us for minor variance from Yasu to construct a new two-story detached dwelling, and there are two variances before us. Any questions for Yasu? If there are no questions, may I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this application. I note that this will be a corner lot eventually when the new road is being built, but it meets all the requirements of the zoning bylaw, and it is subject to urban forestry conditions.
And Yasu, you're aware of conditions of urban forestry?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder to this motion? Member Said. Member Said?
Madam Chair, I will second the motion subject to the urban forestry condition 2.
All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Application for 137 Euclid Avenue has been approved subject to conditions of urban forestry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee.
Item number 17 217 Oak Ridge Drive. I will note here that there are several speakers registered to speak on this application, so this item is being held. So item 17 for 217 Oak Ridge Drive will be held for further discussion. We now go to item 18. Item 18 is 941 Progress Avenue. And this is an application for construction of a six-story addition at Centennial College. And before us is one variance. We have with us the applicant, Eldon Theodore.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Good morning, Eldon. Members of the committee, any questions for Eldon? Before we do that, I believe there's a staff report from community planning. And there's a recommendation. Eldon, are you aware of the community planning staff report and the proposed recommendation?
Yes, we worked with planning staff on that recommendation and we have no issues with it.
Thank you, Eldon. Members of the committee, any questions for Eldon? None. If there are no questions, may I please have a motion? Member Macaulay.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this application, subject to the condition that they make satisfactory arrangements with the Director of Community Planning in Scarborough and the Chief Engineer and Director of Engineering and Construction Services.
Okay. May I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application for 941 Progress Avenue has been approved, subject to the condition as listed in the Community Planning Staff Report dated November 9. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We now move to item number 19. Item number 19 is for 3186 St. Clair Avenue to construct a new second-story rear deck, and there's one variance before us. We have with us Andy Trotter. Andy, you're with us?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you very much. Members of the committee, any questions for Andy? I would say there is a staff report. Andy, you're aware of the staff report and the recommended condition? Andy?
Yes.
We have a staff report from community planning recommending a condition that should the committee approve the requested variance, a condition be imposed related to the permanent solid screening. Are you aware of that condition?
Yes, I think the microphone cut out on the last time, sorry, but yes, and we have no problem with that.
Okay, you have no problem with the proposed recommendation. Okay, thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Yes.
Members of the committee, any questions for Andy? If there are none, may I please have a motion? Member M.
Through you, Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the application, subject to the community planning recommendation for a 1.8 meter solid screening along the east and west side of the rear deck.
Thank you. May I have a seconder?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'll second that motion to approve.
Okay, Gary seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application for 3186 St. Clair Avenue East has been approved, subject to condition of community planning staff report dated November 24th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 20. Item number 20 is for 91 Nielsen Avenue. And we have a few registered speakers listed, so I will hold down this item and come back to it in the main body. So item 20 for 91 Nielsen Avenue is being held for further discussion. We now move to item 21. Item 21 is 3655 Kingston Road. This is an application to permit additional variances to the 9-story apartment building. And we have with us Martin as the agent. Martin, you're with us?
I'm here, yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. And we also have Kim Beckman as the solicitor in support.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm here.
Thank you. We also have David Tumble as a participant in support.
Yes, I'm here, madam.
Good morning, David. Good morning, everyone. Members of the committee, we have this application before us. This application was before the committee on September 23rd. The committee refused a request for 106 units. The applicant has revised the application and has come back to the committee. We have 2 variances before us. Any questions for Martin? Member Said.
Madam Chair, it's not a question, just a comment on that. Can I make a comment?
Please.
Okay. Madam Chair, yeah, the committee considered this application on September 23rd, and the decision was not in the favor of the applicant, but now I can see in the application there has been positive changes over there. Previously, there was a dwelling increase by 7%, which has now been reduced to 5%, which is a good sign. Also, I see in the application the owner has confirmed that they have a certain number of parking spots available, which is corresponding to the number of the units they are increasing, which is 5, and they are willing to accommodate the needs of the new residents if the need arises for the parking spot, which is again a positive change there. So. With these positive changes, although the committee decision was different last time, but I can feel I am willing to support that with these positive changes.
So are you going to make a motion or are you going to?
If any of member have the comments or question, or I can move ahead with the motion.
Okay. Any further comments on this application?
I just wanted to say I think that the cover letter submitted by Weston Consulting provided a good overview of the history and as to why there was several back and forths with the zoning, and I feel comfortable supporting this application as well.
Okay, I agree with both the comments. Any further comments? If there are no further comments, may I please have a motion? Member Said.
Madam Chair, I will move the motion for approval of item number 21, and there is no condition attached to that.
Right.
Madam Chair?
Member Macaulay.
Madam Chair, I second that motion.
Right, Member Macaulay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, we now move to item number 22. Item 22 is 165 Tapscott Road. This is an application to permit variances for 10 blocks of townhouse buildings, and there's some details. There was a previous committee of adjustment application approved for additional variances. We have before us 3 variances today. In terms of the representatives, we have Michael Testaguza. Michael, you're there?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning, thank you. You also have the traffic consultant, Rao Marthi. Okay, I'll move to the next one. Vince Baffa, you're with us.
President, Madam Chair.
Good morning, thank you. Paula Agostino. Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, we have the application before us. We also have a staff report, I believe, but I think this is only for information purposes, correct? We have 2 staff reports, another one from parking for traffic, correct? Okay, we also have the previous decision before us. Members of the committee, any questions for the agent or the traffic consultant or the representatives from Ambria? If there are no comments, may I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this application. I note that this is a new proposal. It's going through the site plan approval stage. It is been reviewed by transportation planning, and there has been a parking study. All of those items are positive, which gives me confidence in saying that this is a minor variance, and I recommend approval.
May I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application for 165 Tapscott Road has been approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We now move to item number 23. Item 23 is 14 to 18 Willowlea Drive. And this is an application, it's a consent and a minor variance application. It's an application to sever the lots into 4 residential lots, and then there are associated variances for the lots. Listed with us is the agent, Eleni Mormigas.
Good morning, Madam Chair. It's Murray Evans and Eleni Marmaguest. We're here to answer any questions should the committee have any.
Right, thank you, Murray. Members of the committee, we have a staff report on this item. Murray, are you aware of the recommendations of community planning staff report, and do you have any questions or concerns with the recommendations?
No, Madam Chair, we're aware of the city staff's request for conditions and we have accepted them.
Okay, there's also conditions of urban forestry. You're aware of those conditions and have any concerns with those?
No, Madam Chair, we understand what they are.
Okay, I will just confirm with you each so that we are all on the same page. There's also conditions from engineering services.
Correct, Madam Chair. We also accept those and solutions are underway.
Perfect. And RNFP had no conditions and TRCA had no conditions. They were already covered by the CP conditions. So, members of the committee, we have with us the agent and any questions for the agent?
Madam Chair, I have a question for either the agent or our staff. On the agenda, we are listed only the consent application. What is the variance application reference?
It's on the second page. Requested variance zoning bylaw, second page of the notice.
Through the chair, in the public hearing notice, not all of the application numbers were listed in the public hearing notice. However, the description is accurate.
Okay.
So there is before you today, there is a lot addition consent that would need to be dealt with first.
Okay.
And then the second phase would be the consents and the associated minor variance applications. I can provide you with the numbers.
Okay, so in your notes to us, Colin, you had provided phase 1 application for the lot addition as B0032/20SC.
Through the chair, that's correct.
And that is the lot addition. Okay, so and we have to make separate motions for each of those applications. So let's deal with the lot addition application separately as a first motion.
Okay, thank you. I found the additional notice with the variances. Thank you very much. I would like a short presentation, really short, from the applicant as to the configuration of the lot and what is the purpose of the large block being kept.
So when we get into presentation, it may take a little bit longer. We're vetting the agenda right now.
But isn't it clear in the report that it's to protect for the natural feature?
Oh, okay, so Member Macaulay, would you like to have a presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're going to hold down this item and come back to it.
Thank
you. So Mary, we're going to hold down this item and come back to it as a member would like to have a brief presentation on the application.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We now move to item 24. I believe we have a conflict of interest from member M. Item 24 is for 853 to 875 Milner Avenue. And we have before us an application for consent to sever the property into 2 lots. And there is an easement also proposed. We have with us Victor Lebrec. Victor, are you with us?
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the committee, I'm here.
Thank you. We also have the owner, Eileen Furoglu.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Jeff Kingston, the engineer.
Through the chair, this person has not signed in this morning.
Okay, thank you very much, Corinne. So, members of the committee, we have the application before us. We also, I believe, have conditions from engineering services. Victor, are you aware of conditions from engineering services?
I'm sure that we reviewed them, and there was a minor amendment to them through an email, which I trust, I know Brian had captured that, and we're fine with the revision.
Sure, Colin, please.
Through the chair, the applicant is correct. There was a duplication of one of the conditions, and there was a minor modification, but it has been, they're not substantive, and we will be capturing those in the decision.
Okay. All right, and we also have a forestry memo, but I don't see any objection. And there are no conditions as well. Okay. So members of the committee, any questions for Victor? I see none. If there are no questions, may I please have a motion? Member Said.
Madam Chair, I see this consent application. This consent application only deal with, there is no changes in the build, and it's only to facilitate the change in ownership. There is no condition of urban forestry. I will move the motion for approval of item number 24, subject to the condition of engineering.
Okay. May I have a seconder, please?
Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Member Macaulay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application for 853-875 Milner Avenue has been approved, subject to conditions of engineering services. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, for your consideration. Take care.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We now move to item number 25, and item number 25 is 105 Pitfield Avenue. And I see there's a list of participants and speakers, quite a long list. So we will hold down this item. And if you are all listening to me, I just want to remind that if your comments and concerns are similar in nature, or you share the same concerns, I would suggest you select a spokesperson to cover all your comments and concerns. And so we will hold down this item and come back to it in the main body. Thank you. We now move to item number 26. Item number 26 is for 89 to 91 McCowan Road. Again, this application has a list of speakers who have registered to speak in opposition, so this matter will also be held. Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda, so I will do a quick recap to confirm the items that have been held. Item number 3, item number 6, item number 7, item 10 was done. Yes, item 10 was done. Item 17, item 20, item 23, item 25, and item 26. Got it? Okay. All right, so certain matters have been held and we will start the discussion on the items that were held. So the first item that was held was item number 3. Item number 3 is for 35 Natal Avenue. And we have with us Robert McCauchy.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rob. Thank you for your patience. Members of the committee, would you like to have a brief presentation on this? Or would you like to get into the reason? One of the reasons that it was held was because there's a staff report from community planning recommending refusal of 2 variances, variance number 1 and variance number 4. Would you like to ask questions of Rob at this time, or would you like to have a presentation? How do you want to go about it?
Through you, Madam Chair, there's more than that. So engineering also recommends refusal of variance 9, 10, and 11. So that would be 5 out of the 11 requested variances.
Thank you, Member M, for confirming that. So committee, again, any questions, or would you like to have a presentation from?
Through the chair, just to clarify, Transportation Services is recommending those refusals.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Member M confirmed that as well. So let's go to Rob. And Rob.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rob. So you're aware of the recommendations of refusal from community planning and transportation services.
Yes. Last night at 6:30, we were emailed this notice by transportation, and we're requesting that we remove these 3 items. We're in agreement. If we're not going to get support from transportation on these, there's no point in asking for these variances. I know typically you don't want these changes. We've reviewed the bylaw, and we don't think this won't incur any new variances if we remove these. This was a wider driveway. We were only planning to have a 1-car garage at the front of the house, and the wider driveway is not permitted when you have a 1-car garage. So if we remove these 3 variances that transportation will not support, then we will have a single-car wide driveway that will conform.
Okay, so what you're recommending here is that you would like to withdraw variance number 9, 10, and 11 because they're not being supported by transportation services, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. What about the variance number 1 and 6 recommended? 1 and 4? Okay. 1 and 4 from community planning.
Community planning brought up items 1 and 3. Is that what you're referring to?
No, so we have a staff report from community planning dated November 6th, and variance number 1 related to lot coverage, and variance number 4 related to the north side yard setback.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So how would you
like me to speak to those 2
points?
points?
Yes, please. Would you speak to those 2 as well?
Yes. We went through an extensive design process, mostly to consider how the light was coming through the center of the home. We created this courtyard space. I think it's really architecturally interesting. There's nothing like this in the area. When we worked with the planner and when we worked with our neighbors through the design, the planner was requesting we bring the coverage down under 40%. And here's the drawings of it. And there's also some supplementary information just showing interior 3D renderings of kind of the resulting space and why it's so interesting, or we're kind of asking for this. And so the zoning examiner, when we did our PPR, she interpreted the exterior space in the courtyard to be part of our coverage calculation. We weren't, we didn't interpret it that way. And so we thought we had 39% coverage and we were complying with it. But because of her interpretation, we're including the courtyard, and that brings us to 42% coverage. And that's what I have to say about the coverage point. And speaking to the north setback of the home, we worked closely with our north neighbors, understanding that they're accessing the backyard from this side of the house. We're not. We're accessing it from the south setback, which we have at 0.9 coverage, or sorry, 0.9 meter setback. In the north setback, the reduced setback, our neighbors only have one small window into their bathroom. We have no doors or windows facing the north side of the house. The lengths of our houses are approximately the same. And so we're not projecting further into the front yard or the backyard any more significantly than what our neighbors are already doing. So we don't see each other from within our houses. And I think that's all I have to say about that setback. I mean, other than we have letters of support from both of our neighbors adjacent to us, and we have a lot of enthusiasm on the street. So we've got a total of 8 letters of support.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Could you just give us a couple of minutes? We're just confirming one thing here. Community planning staff report lists variance number 4 as a north side yard setback. But if you look at the variance, it is actually, number 4 is actually the building length.
Right.
And the rear yard setback which one is the rear yard setback?
It's the north side yard setback.
Sorry, the north side yard setback. Which variance number is that then?
Through the chair, I think there's an inconsistency in the body of the staff report.
Yeah.
They refer to the north yard side yard setback as being variance number 3.
Okay, so for confirmation, community planning has concerns with variance number 3, which is related to the required north side yard setback, and then variance number 1, which is the maximum permitted lot coverage. Okay, so it's not 1 and 4, it's 1 and 3. Okay. I got confused because they had 6.
Through you, Madam Chair, I do have a question for Rob. I just want to better understand the coverage situation.
Yes, please.
So I always thought that if it was open and unenclosed, it would not be considered as part of coverage. Can you just provide me a little bit more context as to your discussions with zoning staff as to why the courtyard, which does not have a roof over it, was contributing to the coverage? I see it as that rectangular space right in the middle on your site plan, correct? So like if that was not counted as part of coverage, you would be under the 40%. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then in your renderings, I saw that it was, landscaped area.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so
I mean, if you look to the reflection of the glass, you'd see, a garden and natural light coming from above, rain coming into that space.
is it partially covered or is it fully open on the top?
It's fully open. There's no overhangs. It's parapet walls around it, flat roof.
So was
There's no roof over the...
Can you just provide me some context as to your discussion with zoning staff? Because I typically thought coverage has to have some sort of overhang or roof component to it.
But it's not.
I was a bit confused myself. We had previously done a project at 620 Clinton Street with the exact same configuration, which, we really liked it. We're recreating it.
And that didn't require,
the kind of,
and that had a different
No, I mean,
interpretation
it's a
of
different part
coverage?
the city, and coverage wasn't the variance that we needed for that application. I
wouldn't compare.
We did, we talked about the merits of do we take down that wall, the exterior wall that separates the courtyard from our neighbor to the south. And the examiner confirmed that she wouldn't interpret it any differently if we had or did not have the wall. We just didn't agree on the interpretation, and so that's why we're requesting it at committee.
Okay.
Colin, please.
Through the chair. As all of you know, in terms of the zoning interpretation, the only people who can make zoning interpretation are Toronto building staff. We do have the zoning notice here, which confirms the lot coverage based on their zoning interpretation. That's really what you need to consider today.
Okay. Thank you, Colin, for that. So what we have before us is the proposed lot coverage is 42%, and we will review it under that criteria. Any more questions for Rob?
I'm not sure. There appears to be an urban forestry condition. Just want to know if the applicant has seen that and concurs.
Okay, thank you. Urban forestry conditions, you're aware of that, Rob?
Yes, we're working, we have an arborist and we're working with forestry to satisfy everything they have concerns with.
Okay, thank you.
Rob, are you comfortable with, is there any way or any flexibility in your design to improve that north side yard condition to something that may be a little bit more suitable, and that staff would have supported? Is there any wiggle room within your floor plans to increase that north side yard setback?
The planner, I mean, it was really coming down to, we kept shaving off, reducing, revising, coming up with alternate solutions. And then it really came down to just, 6 inches. She was asking us to reduce to satisfy what she was looking for. And, we discussed it with the clients, we discussed it with the neighbors on the north, and, they all agreed this was fine. The impact that we had on each other was agreeable. And, so we left it there.
So the reason I ask really is, you've removed the transportation variances, and I'm very thankful for that because those had some concerns from my part. I understand now more as to the intention of the lot coverage, and I kind of see it more as technical and up to interpretation of how you define lot coverage. And in my eyes, I understand that, it is open. It will have soft landscaping, so it will allow for permeability of water and all those things that usually go in and factor into why a lot coverage needs to be considered. But where I'm really struggling here, and this is just my opinion, and I don't know how my fellow committee members feel, but a 0.28 side yard setback is quite tight. And, if I were to be recommending something on this application, I would be supportive of all the variances subject to this variance for north side yard setback. So you would find yourself in a position where maybe you would have a partial approval. So I just wanted to advise that that's where I'm sitting on this application. And I mean, if it was something that you were willing to, modify a little bit, I think it could go a long way and you could possibly end up with more support. But that's my opinion. I don't know if Member Macaulay or others have anything further.
Madam Chair, I have another comment on this, but it's not dealing with the north side yard setback.
Okay. Any further comment on the side yard setback? I see none. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I see that the issue that we have in front of us with lot coverage really is an issue of interpretation. And I would hate to say no to an application where it's an issue of interpretation, and where it's an issue of interpretation if the zoning examiner who has the authority to make that interpretation says that that's the interpretation, I think we have to follow it. However, I understand that what you are proposing to do is have an open space, open from the building roof down to the basement for your open patio. And what I am proposing, and I'm going to ask the applicant whether they're in agreement, is that in order to ensure that we don't get a lot coverage of 42% covered totally by buildings, but that we get approval for this building with the courtyard. Therefore, recommend that the application be approved subject to the specific drawings A003, A102, A103. So the question to the applicant is, are you satisfied with that condition that your approval would be tied to those drawings that we see in front of us?
Yes. Yeah, we're very satisfied with the configuration of the building and gone through a lot of revisions, and we'd be very agreeable to having it just approved this way.
Okay, so it's
Thank you.
A003, which ones did you say?
A003, A102, and A103. I think you've probably got A003 up there.
These are floor plans though, right? A101 is a floor plan. We typically don't.
I'm not concerned about the floor plan, but I'm concerned about the outline of the building.
So that's the first one then, right?
Yes.
That was because we typically don't tie floor plans to approvals, because should they need any internal changes, then they have to, and if it doesn't meet that plan, then they have to come back to the committee. So I'm always a little careful in tying floor plans. I'm okay with your recommendation of tying the site plan for sure.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea, Member Macaulay. So maybe we just tie it just to the site plan.
Yeah, and that site plan is A003, right? I think that captures
Yes,
the intent.
I think that probably
It's
captures-
safeguards for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so you don't end up with a 42% true building coverage.
Exactly.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, excellent idea.
Okay, all right. So any further questions for Rob? Okay, if there are no questions, Rob, would you like to say anything before we take this matter into committee?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm going to confirm that you are you're withdrawing variance number 9, 10, and 11.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. All right, members, we take the matter into committee now. We have an application before us. We had a good hearing on this. The variance number 9, 10, and 11 have been withdrawn by the applicant. We have before us the remainder 8 variances. We talked about the lot coverage. We talked about the side yard setback. We talked about a potential condition of tying it to the site plan, should the committee approve it. Any comments before you make a motion? Okay. All right. If there are no comments, please, who will put forward a motion?
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this variance, specifically variances 1 to 8, and subject to building in accordance with site plan drawing A003 to show the open courtyard. I acknowledge that the applicant has withdrawn variance items 9, 10, and 11.
Conditions of urban forestry?
Yes, subject to conditions of urban forestry.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair, I just want to confirm, Member Macaulay, you are proposing to approve the north side yard setback?
Yes, Madam.
That's her motion.
I wanted to clarify.
Yep.
Yeah. So the motion on the floor is to approve all variances 1 through 8, with the exception of 9, 10, and 11, which have been withdrawn by the applicant, subject to the condition that this approval be tied, or this decision be tied to the site plan A003 and subject to conditions of urban forestry. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? All opposed?
It's my first one.
Okay. Motion carries. The application has been approved for variances 1 through 8, subject to condition that it be tied to the site plan A003 and that it be subject to conditions of urban forestry. Thank you, Rob, for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item that was held is item number 6. Item number 6 is 21 Fenwood Heights. The application before us is to construct a two-story rear addition and a full second-story addition over the existing dwelling and garage. And we have before us 6 variances. With us today, we have the agent, Stephen Key and Chris Marchese.
Yeah, it's just Chris on the phone here representing the property owners of 21 Fenwood Heights from Design Plan Services.
Okay, thank you, Chris. In addition, we have a list of speakers. Barbara Van Steinberg, the immediate neighbor. Are you with us, Barbara? Barbara, can you hear us? You may need to unmute yourself. Okay, we'll come back to it again. We'll give her a couple of minutes. Karen and Andrew.
Through the chair, these speakers were signed in earlier. However, they're not there anymore.
Okay, thank you. We have Hans Quilling. Hans, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. So Barbara Van Steinberg and Karen and Andrew Petro, if you're listening to us, please try to connect. You still have a few moments because we will first speak with the agent and then we will come to you. So please try to connect during the next few minutes. Members of the committee, we have Chris with us. Any questions for Chris at this time, or would you like to have a presentation from him, or how would you like to go about it?
Madam Chair, I'd like a brief presentation specifically with respect to the setback from the top of bank and the 6-meter slope.
Okay, thank you. So Chris,
Yep, I'm here.
so you heard Member Macaulay would like to have a brief presentation on the particular variance.
Yeah, through
please.
you, Madam Chair, would you like me just to present some justification on that variance alone, or would you like me to speak to all the variances individually?
I think for starting, just that one.
Okay, perfect. All right, so thanks for the question, and through you, Madam Chair, just to introduce again, my name is Chris Marchese. I'm a planner at Design Plan Services. We've been here for a proposal that's in front of you today for a second-story addition over the existing dwelling and a garage, and a 2-story addition to the rear of the dwelling with 6 variances in front of you today. In regards to the setback of the stable top of slope, we've been in extensive conversation with the TRCA. They have issued a report late last night, I think it was around 5 p.m., dated November 23rd, that they have reviewed the application in depth and that they have no objection to the proposed variances that were related to the TRCA. On my cover letter that was submitted to the city, I provided plenty of justification that discusses the conversation, and also provided an email from TRCA before the formal comments were produced yesterday. We're saying TRCA had no objection to the variance. It's a TRCA-related variance. As a planner, it's not my profession to speak on stable tops of slopes, but we've left it in the hands of the professionals, and they said that the stable top of slope is fine. It's consistent with the rear main walls across other dwellings along Fenwood, and they have no objection to the variances. And I'll be happy to answer any other questions regarding any of the other variances. Thank you.
Member Macaulay. Oh, just before, Member Macaulay, you heard the justification or the clarification. Any comments or questions?
I have a question.
Your microphone, please. Your microphone.
I'm just looking at the letter we received November 23rd from TRCA. They're stating that a permit is required, and they have reviewed the geotechnical letter, but they have no objection to the approval. I think I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Actually,
Yeah, and just to clarify through you again, Madam Chair, we will be getting a permit. Obviously, it's needed, but we're not going to go for a permit unless the variances in front of the committee are approved, because it would be detrimental. There'd be no purpose of it. So the reasoning we are waiting for the permit was to get the variances, but we've been in conversation with the TRCA to make sure that the permit will not be an issue.
Okay, thank you, Chris, for that clarification. Member M, you had a question.
That basically answered my question. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, geotechnical was reviewed, and I see that there's no comments from engineering, so I assume that engineering staff is also supportive of this reduction. And I think that from my understanding that this 10-meter setback is sort of a blanketed application across all of these types of features, and that I like that it's a site-specific case where you identify the merits based on each individual case, and we really have to rely on both the comments as per the TRCA, who are the specialists in this fact, and engineering staff. So I'm satisfied.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions for Chris on any other variants? Gary?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just with respect to the site plan, and I think TRCA reflected that as well, is there's some things to be taken down. Is an existing wooden desk, wooden desk, and a staircase, right?
Correct. And if you see it would be the eastern side of the property, so the rear property line. Through the hatchet, you'll see existing wood deck stairs to be removed, and all deck stairs material fill underneath will be removed and cleaned from natural slope. So that is what it's talking about, and it's identified on the site plan for you.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, Madam Chair, I do have another question. So I see the note associated with variance number 1 that below the top of bank, that area didn't contribute to the overall FSI. Can I just understand what it would be if that area was included? Because typically the whole lot usually plays a factor in calculating that density. And because I would assume that it would be well within that limit of 0.5, but because he's losing, you know, half of the lot area because it's taken out from the top of bank, that it sort of the perception is that it drives up the FSI, but ultimately the overall built form, it remains quite reasonable. Is that my understanding of that variance?
Through you, Madam Chair, it's spot on, committee member. It's 0.41 times the lot area when including the stable top of slope and beyond the stable top of slope, just because that slope, obviously, it's not table land, so it can't be considered. But with the entire area of the property being considered, the FSI being proposed is 0.41 times the lot area, which is underneath the 0.5 that is permitted.
I understand. Yep. Thank you very much. That's very clear.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? And just for record, we also received that's the speaker who's listed. So we have on record the written objection letter from Barbara Van Steinberg. Okay, if no further questions.
Through you, committee, through
Yes.
you, Chair, I just want to make one more statement. I know that it's not a planning matter, but just to be clear that I was made aware by the owner of 21 Fenwood Heights and our client that somebody in opposition was trespassing on the property in the rear yard to review the merits of this application. I know it's not a planning matter, but just wanted to put it on the record for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. If no further questions for Rob, nothing to add, let's move to the speakers. So, Karen, can you check for me? Barbara's is online. Barbara Van Stein.
Hello?
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, I'm on the phone.
Perfect. Thank you. Barbara, so please let us know of your concerns here. We do have your written letter on record. We received it through the agenda, but would you like to say in addition to what you've already mentioned here?
Yes, could I have my husband speak for me?
Sure, please.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Jeff Kunzman, and I am one of the owners of 23 Fenwood Heights, the neighbor immediately to the north of 21 Fenwood. I would like to begin by saying no one intruded on no one trespassed on our neighbor's property. We were on our lot, yes. And did we take a picture? Yes, we took a picture from our lot, a picture will be part of this presentation momentarily, so that statement was unequivocally false. To begin with, there are six variances being requested. We object to all of them. Basically, 4 out of the 6 variances are requesting more than 100% of what is permitted by law. My neighbor will be speaking more about that after me, I presume. I would like to concentrate on the problem of the setback. 21 Fenwood Heights was sold in March of 2019, and I have met the owner, the gentleman owner of this home once. The house has been rented since it's been sold, and since that time we've had no contact other than 2 letters with the owner. In a letter dated November 13th, Tracy writes, currently the TRCA and RNP already approved our proposed site plan. And it is true that in a letter dated November 23rd, Stephanie Warren wrote, the TRCA stated that the addition go no closer than the existing rear wall and accept the development in principle. And this is a change to the decision reached on November 20th. And as I've just heard, if I understood correctly, that is no longer agreement in principle, but has been approved. But in regard to that ruling that allowed the principal setback variance, the question becomes, what document was submitted to the TRCA for approval? And Brian, can I have the survey on the screen if that's possible, please? Thank you. Here on the survey, if you look at the garage, you can clearly see an existing structure that is not part of the garage that is labeled garden shed. And a garden shed it is, a true lean-to attached to the garage wall by a 2x4 ledger board, no foundation with no entrance to the garage or house. It at one time had power, but this has been disconnected by the previous owner as he thought it was too dangerous. In fact, the roof of the garage shed does not even reach the level of the garage floor as it sits on grade, and the garage can only be entered by walking up a flight of 10 stairs. Brian, can you put up the picture of the shed taken from my property, please? And that shows a picture of the shed. And the information on construction was from my own being in the shed over these past 30-odd years that I lived in this house, and talking to the owner, the seller, whose father built the shed. If you look at now, Brian, can you put the site plan, please? Thank you very much. Now, if you look at the plan which the TRC requested, there is no garden shed shown. Rather, it is shown as an existing structure having been incorporated into the garage, when in reality, the garage wall does not extend past the rear wall of the house. Based on comparing the survey and the site plan submitted, the TRCA appears to have come to a decision based on a misleading drawing. For this reason alone, I would urge the committee to reject this variance, or at the very least communicate with the TRCA that the decision made was based on an incorrect and misleading document, and have them review their decision based on an accurate document that truly reflects the existing structures. And Brian, one last one. Can you put up a picture of the ravine, please? This was spoken about by the appellant's representative, but this picture taken from my backyard that shows on the left the top tier of a retaining wall that was previously level with the remainder of the yard, but over the years has begun to slide down the slope. The retaining wall is no longer retaining anything, and presently appears that this section of the yard has fallen 3 to 4 feet. In a very small backyard, with erosion already occurring, coupled with the loss of 2 large trees on the north end that stabilized the slope, all this combined with minimal side yard setback, 1.27 meters on my side, and virtually non-existent on the south end of the house, the presence of machinery and other construction-related activity is, I fear, liable to further erosion along the slope and possible other environmental issues. Madam Chairman, members of the committee, I would hope that you would reject this variance on environmental out of concern for the environment and in consideration with the City of Toronto plan and protecting our ravines. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We will, I guess we will listen to all the concerns and then go back to the applicant. Any questions for, please go ahead.
I do have a question.
You have to have your mic on? Oh,
Oh, yeah. So that it was Jeff, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
So Jeff, I just wanted to confirm with you, there are no variances on the table today that deal with a rear yard setback. So, you know, the measurement from the shed versus the measurement from the garage, really, it's not. The fact that it's showing as included in the garage, ultimately it's a structure, it's a built form that is situated where it's at. So it being part of the garage or its own structure ultimately still has that same condition that there is there's a form, there's a structure right at that limit. But there is no rear yard setback variance. It's the variance is from the top of bank, and it would apply to the shed as it would the main wall of the garage, in my opinion. So it's
Is it not misleading?
no, because it's still a built form, but
I understand that. Can I
please go ahead.
just answer, please? Yeah, thank you. It is a built form. I understand that. But if looking at that plan that was sent to the TRCA, it is logical for them to assume that that built form had foundations and was anchored in the ground, when in fact it sits on grade. There is no foundations. There are just 4 piers sunk into the ground, not even enclosed in concrete. So it is not a stable built form.
but I think that ultimately the applicant submitted geotechnical work that was done by a licensed engineer, and that was what was really reviewed mostly when considering the top of bank. It wasn't so much, you know, whether it was a shed or a garage, but they just wanted to understand the slope stability and the conditions of the soils is the real main driving factor as to whether or not they were able to support it. So I don't think anything hinged, in my opinion, on whether that wall had foundations or not. It was more, what are the conditions of the land? And that was sort of outlined in the very technical engineering study. So I'm just trying to, I have to interpret what we have as part of our agenda package, and I have to really go with what our experts have outlined to us in our various staff reports and what we've received back from the TRCA as means for me to understand of whether something is supportable or not. So I hear your concerns, but I think that the very savvy individuals at the TRCA as well as city staff would be able to decipher whether the foundations of a shed or not would have an impact on the variances requested. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Jeff, for your time. Any further questions from Jeff? Okay, thank you, Jeff, for your time. We will certainly request the applicant in a few minutes to respond and provide more clarification to your questions and concerns that you've raised. Thank you. We now move to Karen and Andrew Petru.
Through the chair, these speakers have not signed in again yet, but I can contact them right now quickly.
Sure, please.
Through you, Madam Chair, I also want to confirm there is no side yard setback variances as well, correct? Yep, okay.
It's none. Andrew? Karen or Andrew, are you there? Karen and Andrew, are you with us? How about this? Why don't we go to the next person and then we'll come back to this one?
That's a good idea.
Okay, so I know we have Hans on the line. Hans, are you with us? Okay, no problem. Okay, so we didn't connect with Karen and Andrew? We weren't able to? Okay, that's fine. Karen and Andrew, if you're listening in, this is the last call. We are going to speak with the other neighbor. You have a few minutes to connect before we go, to address or to speak to us before we go into the committee. So Hans, you with us?
I am.
Perfect,
Can you hear
thank
me?
you. Yes, we can hear you very well, Hans. Please go ahead and you have 5 minutes to advise us of your concerns or any issues you have with the application.
Sure. Okay. My name is Hans Kuhlein. I live at 20 Fenwood Heights, and my family has lived in the home since 1972. And I've just made some notes here. Hopefully, you can bear with me.
Sure, no problem,
Um,
please.
Although there have been several renovations and new builds on the street, most have maintained the charm and character of the neighborhood. Looking at these plans, the design honestly looks more like an apartment building than a quaint style of the existing home. Concerning the variances, the first one, do I need to read out these numbers, or are you aware of them?
We have them before us, so you can maybe just refer
Okay.
to the variance number and that should be sufficient.
Sure. The variance number, what is it, 1462A2?
Okay, so
Is that
no, so you just say
first one?
variance number 1 and then we'll know.
Okay, variance number 1. Perfect. Okay. It's not a minor variation. The owner wants to increase the living area by 40%. This is really excessive for the lot size. That's a concern. Number 2, the owner is proposing a 4-meter setback at the top of the stable ravine. Now, Jeff has talked about the existing shed. We were friends with the previous owners, so certainly have spent time in the home and are aware of the of the situation in the ravine and so on. The existing shed is definitely not a permanent structure leaning against the back of the garage, as Jeff has mentioned, and this being presented as a permanent structure, which would allow the new build to be closer to the ravine, I think is as Jeff said, misleading. I'm also very well aware of the dramatic erosion that has taken place on the ravine property at that location, and it is concerning. And I'm a little bit surprised that the TRCA have sort of gone along with this because, again, with COVID-19, has somebody actually been at the site or are they looking at a drawing? It's a concern. I guess the other thing, number 3, the permitted area of the rear platform is currently 4 square meters. The owner is requesting 2 balconies, one 8.22, the other one 5.4 square meters. This is not a minor variance by any means, and clearly impacts dramatically the privacy of the neighbors. We live across the street. It's not going to be a big deal for us, but socializing when it's possible with the neighbors across the street, this is going to essentially remove any privacy they have on their property. I think that's a concern.
Okay, so
the other point, sorry?
Go ahead, please.
The other point I wanted to make, the design shows 6 bedrooms and 4.5 baths, supposedly for a family of 3. The area is zoned for single family use. I wanted to point out to the committee that when Mr. Curtis, the previous owner, expressed regret about leaving the neighborhood, the new owner, Tracy, offered to rent a portion of the new build to Mr. Curtis. I think that's kind of an indication of where this build may be going. I have concerns that it's going to become essentially a rooming house, and I think one of the concerns that I have is that the house has been rented for a little over a year, and for quite a while the neighbors had to cut the lawn because the owner did not maintain the property, and it became an embarrassment for the neighborhood. Finally, Tracy, I guess, decided that maybe she should look after the property a little bit better.
Okay,
May
so
or may not be relevant to our discussion here, but
yes, I was about
you
to say if we can focus on, and then you did a great job in sort of, identifying concerns with the variances. So you have 30 seconds left if you want to conclude your comments.
Okay, again, the backyard has a concrete block wall that's fallen into the ravine. That's a concern, and again, I think the TRCA needs to look at that more closely. There are a lot of discussions. Gary Crawford's Facebook page has discussions about building trends, density size, and so on. And, in discussions with our Fenwood Heights neighbors, we're not opposed to the change of these houses, but we're certainly aware of the design value that enhances the character and excitement of the neighborhood. So far, we have over 27 residents that have signed a petition concerned about moving forward with the build as it is being proposed right now.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you, Hans. I just want to clarify one thing, that the number of bedrooms or the number of bathrooms doesn't really say much.
I understand
The zoning bylaw doesn't define a family size, and family size or structure is irrelevant to zoning. We don't do people-based zoning, or we don't do family-based zoning, right? A family could be of 20 people. So, so we should, so as part of our review and analysis of these applications, we really don't look into the number of bedrooms or the bathrooms. If your concern is that it could potentially become a rooming house or a group home, again, that is an assumption, that is a fear that may happen, that may not happen. And if that does happen, you know where to contact the city. Make sure you speak to the right people and then get the right people involved in investigating that issue if that ever comes on board, if that ever becomes an issue. So for our purposes today, the committee will look at strictly the variances that are before us and review them from a planning perspective and run the 4 tests of the Planning Act to make sure that the decision is appropriate. Member M has something to say.
Through you, Madam Chair, I just wanted to echo what your sentiments, but also add similarly, same with the design of the building and the facade as well. There are no urban design guidelines for this neighborhood, so unfortunately, sort of the style is not under the jurisdiction of this committee, just as the floor plate and how the interior is divided up. Once again, it's beyond what is before us today. And then I also want to reiterate again with variance number 1. I think optically it looks worse than it is because they're not taking in consideration the full lot size. Had the full lot been considered as part of the calculation as it is elsewhere, you would not be having, they would meet the requirement of less than 0.5. So I just wanted to make that clarification.
All right, thank you for your time, Hans. Appreciate your comments, and we will certainly request the applicant to respond to the concerns that you've raised. I will check with Karen again. Karen, were you able to get in touch with Karen and Andrew?
They were able to sign in for a moment, but they've gone again. I've just sent them another call. Just give me 1 second. We might have them.
I just want to make sure if they're trying to connect, we give them equal opportunity.
Madam Chair, in the meantime, can we confirm that there are no comments from forestry on this application?
That's a good thing to look at. From urban forestry, we don't have any comments. Yeah.
We have a letter from Ravine Natural Feature Protection, but there's no conditions. It's just a comment letter.
Yeah. And in the consolidated list that we get, I don't see anything from urban forestry.
Hello, Karen and Andrew, are you there?
Yeah, Andrew's here. I'm confused. It's from California, but I'm assuming it's not California.
No. We're just in little old Toronto, Scarborough.
Okay.
Hi, Andrew.
How's it going?
Good. So far, so good. So we're definitely in Toronto here, and we're here at the Committee of Adjustment hearing in Scarborough. And you have signed up to speak. You have some concerns with the application at 21 Fenwood Height. So you have 5 minutes to let us know of your concerns. Please go ahead.
Okay, again, from the information that I've gathered, my concern is the size of the variance request. From what I gather, the variance request is normally about 10%. This seems to be closer to 30. The design of the house concerns me as, what is the intent? I'd like to know if we could have that as clarity. Also, the encroachment on the ravine is a big concern as well. And ultimately, we are seeing activity in the neighborhood, not trying to correlate here, but just want to verify the intent again. We've seen houses that have been purchased and have been rented out to renters, and what it does is erodes the fabric of a community. These people are not bad, but they become transient. They're not connected to the neighborhood, and what it does is it erodes the community. And this is a single dwelling request. I want to make sure that that's what the intent is.
Okay, we'll certainly get that clarification. We'll certainly get that clarification from the applicant.
Okay.
Please.
So this is why we're saying, please come out, see the site, see the actual request and the size of the scope, what they've included, what they've done. I know with COVID it's become difficult, but to move forward on this would be a concern, because ultimately it is up to city adjustments to make sure that things are done above board on that side, and thank you for being there. And that's all. I think for me, the intent is that you've probably are aware of every other person. I haven't heard. I'm the first one kind of speaking on this that I can hear. So that's my comment. So I oppose that big a request be allowed to happen in the neighborhood. So thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you very much for connecting with us, Andrew. Any questions for Andrew? I see none. All right. So, sorry, it wasn't. Yes, it was Andrew. So that brings us to the end of the speakers list. We will now go back to Chris.
Yep, I am here still.
Perfect, Chris. It's good that you're here.
So,
you have to answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. I'll try to hit all of them as much as I can. I have a couple pages of notes here. If there's anything I miss or we need clarification, just please advise and I will do so.
Please.
In regards to the use of the building, we've signed a declaration of use. It's a single-family detached home. It's declared as a single-family detached home. It's on the record as a single-family detached home. Regarding the FSI number, as stated by the committee, it's only needed because it's technical. The land after the tabletop slope is not considered, but we're at 0.41. In regards to construction material and erosion and the permit and the shed, I also think the committee member who spoke on behalf of that comment said it all, but just to reiterate what she said was there's nothing misleading about the application. TRCA is still doing site visits. We're going through the procedures based on the Planning Act permissions. We're not trying to hide anything. The conversations have been full disclosure upon everything there. They're aware of what's existing in the rear, and they have no objection to the application. Like I said in my evidence in chief, is I'm not a professional based on this, but the geotech that's done and the professionals at TRCA have reviewed the application and have no objection to it. Overall, the variances, I just want to state that minor in nature doesn't mean numbers. It's the impact. The impact has to be minor. And I'm of the opinion that all these variances are minor in nature and meet the other remaining tests under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. One last thing, 20 Fenwood Heights made a comment about the balcony. I'm not really sure where that arises from, as he will be facing the front of my house, or front of the house, and has no access to look at the rear of the property from his dwelling, so will have no impact on him. He also said that there's 21 opposition letters that have been signed in the neighborhood. I've not been made aware of that or have seen them on the record, so I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the committee. I think I've answered all the questions. If there's anything else, I'll be more than happy to add more confirmation on any information that's needed by the committee. And at this point, I'll leave it in your hands, but it is my opinion that it meets the 4 test under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. Thank you.
Okay, so Member M has a question, and then Member McCauley. Member M, please go
No
ahead.
problem.
So, Chris, I mean, I understand that the neighbor across the street wouldn't be impacted. However, the neighbor 23 may be impacted by the proposed second-story balcony. Would you or your client be agreeable to perhaps put a screening on that side of the balcony?
Through you, Madam Chair, yeah, if the committee feels that would mitigate any privacy issues. I just want to make you aware before putting that in there is that there's tons of tree canopy in the area.
Okay.
There's no impact visually. You're looking back on a ravine. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I honestly don't think it's necessary for this application.
Yeah, I do see, when I was taking a look at the site, I did see the row of trees on the property line. I just thought I'd put it out there if it would at all appease any of the concerns.
I mean, I have no issue with it through you, Madam Chair, like I said, and it's a fair comment, but it just in this situation, when looking at this application, the privacy is already provided naturally through the tree canopy, but if it's something that satisfies the committee, I have no issue with doing it.
Thank you, Chris. That's all I have. Questions?
Okay, Member Macaulay.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking at drawing number. Sorry, I'm looking at the drawing. And actually on the drawing, let me get that drawing number here for you. No, it doesn't have the number there. It's
is this the site plan?
It's a site plan with the lot statistics, and it's not labeled as a drawing number.
Brian, maybe you can help us? Yes, that's the one, yeah. With the site statistics?
Yes, but I want to look at the back of the lot where there's a number of comments. Existing wood deck to be removed. TRCA requires the area where the deck is to be removed be seeded. There's a number of trees shown. I guess my question is to the applicant. He has been discussing this with TRCA. I see that we have no comments from the forestry and comments from the ravine and natural features protection staff have no conditions. So my question to you is, how are these items to be addressed? Is it through your permit through TRCA?
Yeah, and there's no tree that's going to be damaged from any of the construction that's done. Those removals are just at grade. It's not going to be going down to the roots as far as I'm aware. TRCA has reviewed this application. They are aware of every tree that is on the property and every construction that is going to be undertaken. They have no objection to the application, and if there's any further information that needs to be dealt with from an environmental standpoint, we will deal with TRCA, but Urban Forestry have reviewed the application, no issues. Ravine and National Protection, no issues, and TRCA, no issues. I'm not in a position to speak expertly on the trees, but I am confident that the three departments that have reviewed the application are aware of the scope of work that's undertaken, and there's no concerns or no issues with what's in front of you today.
Okay. This drawing says this application is not including existing retaining wall, separate application to the ravine protection, and the TRCA will be submitted later. Have they?
So that's a TRCA comment that they're taking that into consideration. That's just saying that for committee, that is not an issue, but this will be dealt with through the TRCA permit where they provided correspondence saying that they have no issue with the application.
Okay, and your permit from TRCA will include some of these conditions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. We will deal with the retaining wall. All environmental aspects of this application will be dealt with through the TRCA permit, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions for Chris? And we're confident that the experts, both at the TRCA as well as Urban Forestry and Toronto's Ravine and Natural Heritage Protection, have looked at this material and submission in detail. Any requirements, conditions will be dealt through the permit application at the TRCA. I did not see any conditions of Urban Forestry or the Natural Ravine. So I just want to comment that I'm pretty confident that the experts have looked into this and they're confident that this is going to work. And I would rely on their expertise. Member M.
I'm prepared to put forward a motion. I feel that this has been examined very thoroughly, and it's a case-by-case basis. And with this case, it seems appropriate. And many of these variances are very technical in nature. And like you had said, Madam Chair, we have to really rely on the experts that have provided stamped drawings and and reports. So with that, I feel satisfied that all of the conditions will be met through the TRCA permit, and I am recommending approval of all 6 variances for this application.
All right. And we have a seconder.
Madam Chair, I will second that. I'm reading very carefully the letter from TARCA, their permit, and their review of the various studies. And as said, we have to rely upon their expertise here.
Okay, so is that's seconding the motion?
Seconding the motion.
Okay. All in favor of this motion? All right, motion carries. The application has been approved.
Thank you so much for your consideration, Chair and fellow committee members. Have a great day.
Thank you, and thank you for all the neighbors who came and spoke with us and expressed their concerns. Thank you for your time. Okay. It's noon. Do you want to take a... Okay. Sure, okay, all right. So I have a suggestion to do item 7 and then go into the next one. So we'll do with item 7. Item 7 is an application for 20 Willowlea Drive, and this is an application to construct a new 2-story single-family detached dwelling. Previous committee approved variances for floor area, length, depth, and height, and we have before us 10 variances. Christina Bumsey, the agent. Oh, Yasu. Yasu was with us this morning. Yasu, you with us?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm available.
Okay, all right. I just want to confirm Christina's not joining. It'll just be yourself today.
No, Krishna is one of my employee here, but
okay, that's fine. Okay, members of the committee, how would you like to proceed with this? Would you like to have a presentation from Yasu, or would you like to ask any questions?
So through you, Madam Chair, I was the one that requested this be held down. And I just want a little bit of context is really what I'm trying to understand. The difference is, and also how did it arise that we needed to go back and revisit this. In some of the variances, it does appear that you're asking for even less than what was past approved. So, like, for instance, variance number 5, I mean, if you have the past approval of 20.65 and now you're in at 19.73, technically, we do not even need a variance for that. But I just want to level set what is happening here. And if you could just provide a little bit of history and context, that would be greatly appreciated.
thank you very much. The history behind this is that my client purchased this land with all the approved variants and all the designed floor plans. So at the time before he purchased the land, I think during the severance process, they presented the drawing and then they got these variances approved at the time. But presently, this design is to cater their needs. And so the whole entire floor plans were redesigned, and we have done according to the new design. We are slightly over on the coverage, but still it's well under the other approvals approved in this neighborhood on the coverage. And regarding the front yard setback is average to the both houses. However, this survey plan is calculating to the existing structure on the left hand side of the house, which is an old house. However, there's a variance approved after that with the frontage even less than that. So the frontage setback we are asking it's pretty much matching to the house on your right hand side, and it's more or less same to the new approved variances on the left hand side house, which is going to be built new. And the proposed the rear yard balcony is that it's a balcony which is coming on above the concrete deck, and so structurally we need to have that much of area for the rear yard setback, rear yard deck on that. And the height wise, because of the elevation, if you look at the elevation, there are 2 towers coming on elevation that's exceeding that the maximum height a little bit on that. So that's what it's triggering that the variances. And other than that, in the last variance approval by the previous owner, the urban forestry recommended to keep those 2 trees on the front yard or on the boulevard, and they wanted to keep the existing driveway as it is. If you can go to the site plan, please. You can see that on the site plan, we are maintaining that existing driveway access to this property, and we are maintaining those 2 trees on both sides of the driveways to be kept as it is. So that is coming a little bit off to the proposed garage. The garage is with the minimum setback line from the side yard. So it's a little bit off, and also it's a single driveway. And practically to take the car out and then drive almost 70 feet to the property line, and further, about 50 feet to the property line, and also further another 22 feet from the property line to the edge of the street on a reverse portion, not straight, going an angle and sort of thing. It's kind of a dangerous, which my client felt. So we had to put a hammerhead there so they can turn the car inside the property and then go straight instead of going in a reverse. That's the only reason we asked for the hammerhead. But however, we worked with the planning department on this, and then they really want us the landscape to be kept to the minimum requirement to the zoning, and then we made the landscape area to the requirement, even though we are providing this hammerhead. So this is a nature. So as I said, the application previously approved by the previous owner or developer who severed all the lands there, and this is specifically done for my client. And then we are going, even though the number of variances are in 10, but the nature of variance, each variances are very small in minor in nature, which meets the whole 4 principal test of the minor variance.
Thank you, Yasu. That helps provide that context for me.
Okay. Any more questions for? Okay. Yasu, are you on a street or something?
Sorry?
We could hear.
Oh, actually, my office is near to the railway line, so there's a train going on.
Oh, okay. We could hear some honking in the background. Okay. All right.
No,
that's okay. Members of the committee, any questions for Yasu?
Yes, Madam Chair. I have a question about this driveway. I understand that you're saying that it's a long driveway and it's difficult to drive in and back out. As I understand it, that's why you're wanting to put it in the hammerhead. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's correct. Actually, driving in is not a problem. The reversing, coming in reverse, because only one single line driveway is permitted, because we are keeping the existing driveway. It's not even though it's a double driveway for about 6 meters, then after that it's all going in a single driveway. So when you come in a reverse, you come straight, then go in an angle, then go straight in a single driveway. Actually, my client, both of them work, and they both lawyers working in the 2 different places. They take the car every day out. So my client's wife has some concern taking that car in a reverse position for about 70 feet to the street, and not even straight, in a small, tiny driveway. And furthermore, there's a ditch in the front. There's a culvert, and the level from the driveway to the bottom of the ditch is about 2 feet 4 inches. So it's quite dangerous in a snowy condition, especially they don't know where the driveway ends and where the ditch starts and sort of thing. So that's the main reason they want a hammerhead there.
Okay, I guess one of my questions is answered. I was wondering why you had an angle on this driveway, why the driveway isn't coming in straight into the garage. And I gather from what you're saying, it's because of the culvert on the street that you want to cover the driveway over that culvert and then veer it towards the garage. Is that correct?
No, the main reason is that urban forestry want to maintain those 2 trees on both sides of the existing driveway, and they don't want to have any disturbance done around the trees. So they wanted to keep the existing driveway as it is.
It's the
So
trees.
if there's no trees, I would be asking for a double driveway straight to the garage. We wouldn't be asking for this variance, but we had to keep the existing driveway as it is, and that driveway width is only 4.2 meters wide, and that's the reason this is a little bit off to the proposed garage. The garage is designed with the minimum side yard setback, so
I think I
cannot,
recall that discussion from the past variance, and when we were doing the severance, I recall us saying that they'd have to maintain the existing access points to satisfy urban
Yeah,
forestry.
and you can see the 2 trees
Yeah,
there, and they're trying to protect that tree, so they have to put it at a little bit of an angle.
Okay, I see that. Are you aware that transportation is recommending against this variance with the hammerhead? And have you
Yes,
discussed that with them?
yes, we understand that, but the transportation we explained to them, and they may not be aware of that. The requirement is from urban forestry. That's the reason we are doing it. Normally, I've been putting lots of application. I don't ask for hammerheads, but in the application in this nature, it's really dangerous to. Even I don't think I can drive that in a reverse condition for 70 feet in a snow condition without going into the ditch. So I hope transportation understand the situation, and then that's the only reason we're asking for hammerhead.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yasu. Any further questions for Yasu? See none. If there are no questions for Yasu, can I take the matter into deliberation and, or matter into committee, and then see if anybody is ready with a motion?
Through you, Madam Chair, I've received the context and the understanding and sort of what the constraints are with this particular property and the rationale as to why they're seeking these variances, and I'm sympathetic to that. So, you know, he's trying to appease multiple different staff disciplines that have conflicting needs, and ultimately he doesn't want to risk the safety of his clients. So I'm supportive of all the variances before us today, and I understand why they're being sought. So I do recommend approval subject to the urban forestry conditions.
Okay, all right.
So I recommend approval subject to the urban forestry conditions.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the application subject to urban forestry conditions. May I have a seconder? Member Macaulay, you want to second it? Okay.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. May I have a seconder? I saw your mic open, and that's why I asked. No, we're into.
I'm sorry. I had a further question. I hadn't realized that we had moved that quickly into a motion.
Yes. Is a question for us, or is a question for the applicant?
It's a question for the applicant.
We've passed that, I'm sorry.
If that can be granted. I'm still looking at this hammerhead. I think one of the questions we have.
We're in the motion. That's what I said. We've moved away from it. I did announce that we're taking the matter into committee, and Member M put forward the motion. We have a motion on the floor to approve the application subject to conditions of urban forestry. I'm looking for a seconder.
Okay, can I modify that motion?
If you want to.
The modification to the motion is that the hammerhead driveway be done with permeable materials, so that we're not having as much of a hard surface on this front yard.
Okay, Member M?
I'm agreeable to modify my motion, so I will provide a new one. So I recommend approval of the variances before us, subject to urban forestry conditions, and that a new condition be added to variance number 10 that requests that the hammerhead portion of the driveway be utilized with permeable pavers.
Or be paved with?
Or be paved with permeable pavers.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by member M to approve the application, subject to the urban forestry condition and subject to the portion of the hammerhead portion of the driveway to be paved with permeable pavers. Seconder, please.
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Right, all in favor of this motion? All opposed? Okay, motion carries. The application has been approved, subject to the conditions as stated. Thank you.
Thank you
yes.
very much.
Yes. We are going to take a 10-minute break. Oh, okay. Staff just wanted to confirm if Mohammed had opposed the motion, and then I did confirm that yes, Mohammed had opposed that motion. Okay, so it's 12:20. We would take a 10-minute break, a quick refresher break, and we'll be back at 12:30. So anyone and everyone who's listening, we are going to take a 10-minute break. Thank you.
Through the chair, if I could just add one quick comment. We are currently live on YouTube through our AM session. I would like to let everybody know who's currently watching on YouTube that the AM session will end, and when we resume at 12:30, we will restart under the PM session. So if you're currently watching on YouTube right now, please move over to the PM session when we resume.
Okay, so I will just repeat, and I'm sure you've been heard, but we were currently in our AM session of the YouTube stream. That session will end soon. When we resume back at 12:30, we will be, for all those on YouTube, you would have to tune into the PM stream at 12:30. Thank you.